Okay, bonjour. We are live. This is the Bruno and Darko show. We're going to talk about AI and biostat. Although today we're going to mostly talk about AI, it seems, right, Darko?
Yes, no biostats today.
No
So,
biostat today.
yeah.
Oh, just remind me, when is our favorite day of biostat here? The Fibonacci day that we talked about before. When is that again?
Well, I think yes,
We have
I
to figure it
mentioned it.
out.
I forgot it completely. But such an important day. It's,
Important day. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
And actually, our executive producer, Shahir, in the background, might jump in at some point and remind us of the upcoming Fibonacci Day and even put on the screen one of our favorite Fibonacci. And maybe here's our homework for sort of biostat and today, before we talk about AI and the upcoming IPOs, and also perhaps talk about AGI. That's the kind of topic we have. November 23rd, Fibonacci Day. Okay. And
Oh,
remind us what it was named after. So Fibonacci invented the Fibonacci Day to count do you remember? To
yes.
measure, you got a grant, right? Or something. To,
Yes, I remember there were the rabbits. There were the
yeah,
rabbits
the
in the
speed of
story.
reproduction of rabbit,
Yes,
which is
yes.
Fibonacci, I guess, if that's a term, or Fibonacci following, meaning it goes faster and faster. It's kind of a type of compounding, I guess. Fibonacci is a type of compounding. Of course, compounding we know is the strongest force in the universe. Albert Einstein said that. And rabbit are famously compounding while left on their own. And therefore, Fibonacci Day is the day rabbits are celebrating their fertility. That's what it is. But we're not here to talk about rabbits. We are here to talk about AGI, and we're here to talk about the two big IPO coming in AI, right? I
No,
mean,
actually, three. Is it
oh,
three?
three.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, three. What am I talking about? Three.
three.
All right.
Yeah.
So, so what are they, and which one is going to be the biggest?
Yeah, so some crazy things happening in the world of AI today. I mean, positively crazy. Maybe some would not agree with me, but we have three IPOs happening, and these will be probably the three largest IPOs ever. If we combine them, that will be like the biggest IPO party, let's call it that way,
Right.
that will
Right.
happen this year. OpenAI, Anthropic, and SpaceX each probably evaluated over $1 trillion each, right? So together, maybe more than three
No, no,
trillion
but even
dollars.
in individually, each of them will be the largest IPO ever. Each of
Yes.
them, and they
So
incredible. I do remember when Google went public, and at the time, everybody was amazed that they raised $10 billion that they didn't make. Now, in their IPOs, I think that SpaceX is raising something like 80 billion. Is that right? Something like that,
yes,
right?
yeah, something like
And
that.
and Anthropic and OpenAI probably a similar number.
Yeah, I think they're all going from 80 to 100 plus billion, and then being evaluated at trillions, which is crazy. I mean, crazy what's happening. And I was I think the markets may actually feel that. Uh, it's such a giant move that it might actually change the entire economical infrastructure in the world.
Well, so as you know, I went back and forth thinking, well, that's overhyped, that underhyped, that's overhyped. Maybe it's right hyped, I would say right now, because clearly the world could not function without AI anymore. So it became like the internet, but in months rather than years, it took the place of the internet to be something you cannot unplug. At least in my life, I mean, it replaced Google. I deleted Google, as you know, from my phone a year and a half ago, and so at the minimum, it replaced search, right? Which essentially means the internet. So the internet, essentially, the on ramp to the internet at the minimum So it's as from that perspective, it's already a big source of value. So uh, now everybody knows it. I guess there are a few skeptical who say, "Well, that doesn't make sense. These valuations." Some people said, "Oh, it's." I think they do the comparison to Walmart, and they say, "Oh, it's 20% of the sales and 10 times the valuation." Well, that would make sense, actually, right? Much smaller, but it's if you look at growth, is what matters, not today or yesterday's revenue level. So if it's growing like 5 to 10x a year, like I think Anthropic is, it doesn't matter. If it's 1/20th of Walmart, it should be worth certainly 10 times Walmart. So now, should we advise our friends and family to buy into these IPOs, though? That's a different question.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I mean, I wouldn't say that this is advice anyway, but
Warning,
I was
this is
thinking like,
not
should I
financial.
buy, right? Should I buy
Warning,
some of the
this is not
stocks,
financial.
or maybe try to find some tokenized assets and buy them? But at the end of the day, I decided not to, because I'm the kind of guy that would buy the dip. I like to buy the dips. And
Yes.
why would I buy? Why would I buy something that's the largest evaluation ever? So it's already valued at such a large price. So that's not like something that I would
Okay.
buy. But that's just me. Of course, this is not financial advice for
Not financial
everyone. But
advice.
maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I don't know. But that's just my personal opinion.
And Shahir, I think, had a point. He was jumping in with a point, but the connection maybe wasn't good enough. Shahir,
I was
did you say
I was
something?
just I was just giving a warning and saying this is not financial advice. I was
Not
saving my
financial
All
friend
right.
advice.
Mark. I was saving him.
Okay.
Right. But so
Okay. Thank you.
here's a question, and maybe Shahir, you can find the data. When Google and Facebook went public, was there a dip? Now, there was probably a boom, meaning that it went at a certain level, then it went up 20% or 50%. After that, was there a dip? Now, was there a dip from the IPO level? And was there a dip from the first day sort of spike? And, um, uh, I guess that's a question, because when it goes public, usually there's a spike. And it's very hard to invest at the spike, because you don't know if you're investing at the point where it's going to be lower after. So it's going to be hard to find when it goes public, because it was so small compared with today for Google. All-time high first day. I don't know. It might be too hard to. You may need to ask ChatGPT to recreate the first year of Google's and Facebook's live. It might be too hard by navigation. You might need to recreate it using AI. So I understand what you're saying. We should maybe wait for a dip. Um, yeah. Um, and then we're
I,
going to talk about AGI.
Yes, yes, and it actually might be a very interesting connection. The AGI and the AI hype and everything in these IPOs. I think it could be a very interesting connection to what we were discussing previously. But you know, I, these three companies, they are valued so much because they are at the top of the economical chain of AI today, right? So they are the biggest players. Of course, we have Nvidia, right? Nvidia should never be forgotten, because Nvidia is providing most of the infrastructure for many of them. So uh, I think actually the impact might be the positive impact could be felt by Nvidia, I guess. What do you think, Bruno?
My very smart friend who follow these stocks says that Nvidia is under valued based on just the forward sort of profit. I don't know it. I mean, I think about Cisco, where you could say, well, Cisco was also the infrastructure of the internet, and nothing very good happened to Cisco later on. Intel, of course, was top of the world and now is a fallen giant. So I don't know. I don't understand the semiconductor business. I really don't. So I uh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Um, Intel has done well recently, by the way,
Oh yeah,
right?
70,
It has
70.
jumped quite a bit.
Yes.
So Intel maybe. Oh,
Wow.
I think Jim Cramer, of course, a famous. I don't know if it's contrarian or counter contrarian, whatever he said. We people do the reverse. Although that's a joke, by the way. Clearly, even if he's wrong often because he has a lot of opinion, he's actually surprisingly respected. I think many people might say the reverse. Jim Cramer, I think, said something about the upcoming IPOs. I think he was talking about maybe Anthropic or maybe OpenAI. We have to find what he said. He said he expects that he's going to trade down significantly from IPO level. Let's find Jim Cramer's quote. Now, people again are going to make fun of Jim Cramer. We should all do the reverse, but it's a little bit like I don't know Rick Ashley. People like to make fun of him, but they love the music secretly. Well, people love to make fun of Jim Cramer, but secretly they take into account what he says, right? So he said something here, and I think he said to be very cautious with one of these IPO. Let's try to find what he said about either Anthropic or OpenAI, one of the two, right? And as so, what did he say? Uh-huh. One big reservation. All right, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right. Tourism number, it's very difficult to justify SpaceX 2 trillion. Would that be the valuation at IPO post-money, 2 trillion?
Yeah,
I guess.
I've read anywhere from 1 to 2 trillion. So
Okay, okay, okay. I mean, yeah, yeah. By the
I
way,
mean,
on the other side of the coin, Bitcoin is at 60, right? So you talk
yeah,
about buying the dip. You told me this morning Bitcoin at 59.60. So that's a dip, right? Because it was at 130,
yeah, that's definitely a dip.
right? That's a
And
dip.
I think it actually might be related to these IPOs. If you think about it,
Oh, you think
these
so?
I mean, I cannot guarantee, but I cannot mathematically guarantee, but to me, it actually makes sense because if there is a 3 trillion or even more worth of IPOs, it's expected that some money will flow from the current market, which includes crypto, right?
Hmm.
And maybe even a number of
I see.
stocks.
I see.
It will
So you
flow
think
from them to the IPOs. I mean,
so you think
just
some people are going to sell their crypto, their Bitcoin, their Ethereum to buy some SpaceX? Maybe.
it's possible.
Um,
It's possible.
I
Um,
don't know. I think people in crypto leave their money in crypto. They don't shift in and out because of various tax and sort of confidentiality issue, and they like to keep things in. I don't know. That's my case, but we'll have to see. Um, so we talked about AGI before. My point is that actually, so AGI doesn't mean anything. I know Christian surely has a definition, but people don't use it because if they use it, they have to agree on the definition. Just the same way the Turing test, as soon as you could figure out that it was passed, it became uninteresting. We're not even sure it got passed or not. There were no official celebration or test. So these are red herring. They are fake, made up, straw man type events because first it's obviously a continuity. Intelligence is great. It's not like they're not going to be any jump in intelligence, any objective line in the sand that have been created. It's as gradual as I would argue the emergence of human intelligence. It's not like we became intelligent all of a sudden. There's no inflection point, I would argue none, in intelligence. Or if there is one, it's so slow, it's not really any step function. It's the same with AGI. It's not a step. it's a curve, and there's no really inflection point. So, but what I realize is how powerful of a marketing concept it is. So everybody bought into that concept because it's beautifully capturing our imagination. And nobody's allowed to say, me, because I don't care, nobody cares, but that it doesn't exist. There is no inflection point. There is no change in status. There is no qualitative step. There's no singularity point. There's just a gradual expansion of the capability of intelligence. Yann Lequin would say that hits the limits of LLM and is going to be asymptotically plateauing, which, by the way, even if that's the case, I would argue it's much higher than Jan is talking about, and I think it's enough to justify the valuation that we have, right? Even if it's just LLM plateauing because we train it on all of the internet, there's no more data to train.
I think that the valuation may be justified, because all that money is not going to flow just in LLMs. I think these three companies are well aware of what Jan LeCun was saying, that the LLMs are limited, and Francois Cholet really explains very well why. By I believe this is his definition, but uh, forgive me if I'm wrong on the actual author, but I think it's his definition that artificial intelligence is actually the ability, the capability of a machine system to acquire new skills. So artificial system, how well it acquires novel skills. Now, if you think about LLMs, they actually don't acquire much novel skills. Most of their skills and their knowledge come from the training, and then after the training, they don't really do much. So, by definition of Francois Cholet, a lot of today's AIs are actually not that intelligent, and the tests, also I think co-authored by Francois, ARC AGI, tell a mathematical story there, that if you look at those numbers, you will see that they're very low. So current LLMs are much lower, have much lower capability than humans in acquiring new skills, and yet they have the entire knowledge of the internet inside them in the training data. So it's interesting, but I think the evaluation may be justified because these companies are well aware of that. So a lot of that money will be invested in actually making them highly intelligent. Not sure if it's going to go for the AGI. As you said, AGI is like a ghost. We don't know what it is. So we can just kind of have different ideas for it. But what if the path forward is not to actually mimic humans, right? What if the path forward is to create intelligence that is different than human intelligence, but better in terms of the capabilities, right?
And arguably, that's what LLM does even more than word models, because LLM is that stupid multi-layer recursive this and that weight adjusting word predictor that doesn't work at all like the human brain. I mean, I guess a neural network a little bit, but really the way it learns is not following the complexity of the human brain. And despite that, it does. The biggest surprise is how good, how incredibly bluffing it it did. So I actually, now I'm thinking maybe I'm actually negative on word model, and the reason is not that we don't need it. The reason is that we have no idea if it's going to work or when it's going to work. The only thing we know is that large language worked, surprisingly, incredibly surprisingly well. And that today's was a proven thing. Everything else? So I would now, as an investor, despite the credentials of Yann Lecan and what's the lady from Yi. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Yeah. Anyway, that other lady who was very smart and was at the beginning of many of these innovations. So I don't know. They're unproven. What do we know if they're going to work? There's no. I mean, it will be a breakthrough of its own. We cannot count it. We cannot predict it. Therefore, as an investor, it's completely different than investing in LLM. Completely different thesis. Before we close, because we already had time, I've got a question for you. And Shahir is going to try to find the answer. It's a Fibonacci question.
Oh,
And we're gonna see if our brain can handle compounding. All right. Let's say we have $1 million. You have $1 million. I have $1 million, and it compound in a Fibonacci fashion every year. All right. How much money do we have after 10 years? Right. So, and the audience, I like the audience to do the math with us to see if our brain compound in a Fibonacci way. So the rabbit multiplication. So Fibonacci is the next number is the sum of the two previous numbers, right? So let's say it's one. Well, let's say 1, 2. The first two are set, right? I guess 1, 2, because sorry, it doesn't work. 1, 2. All right. Then it's 3. All right. Then it's 5. Then it's 8. That's Fibonacci, right? Did I get Fibonacci right?
yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, too late. We get the answer. 120 million after 10
Oh,
years, right? So we
wow.
know the power of compounding, and Fibonacci compounding is a type of compounding, which is not doubling every year. Doubling every year is even more, right? So now let's do it with compounding, which is compounded every year with a 2x, so a 100%. And I think it should be a billion, but we'll see, right? So 10 years of compounding, starting with $1 million, all right? If you do 2x every year without taxes, I assume it's in the billion, but let's see. Maybe multiple billion, actually. I'd say 5 billion. We'll see. What do you say, Darko? Don't show the answer yet, Shahir. So again, it compound every year, okay? Compounded yearly, 100x. I'm sorry, 100%, meaning 2x growth. What is, you start with 1 million, what do you have after 10 years? I say you have 10 billion. I didn't count, I'm just vibe
No,
calculating.
I'm not gonna count either. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna try to vibe calculate myself. So I'd say something like so we start with 1 million, right?
1
1
million.
million. 1 million. Okay. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. I'm counting.
You're
Cheating.
counting. I was vibe counting.
But hey, let's say it's
I said
like
10 billion.
let's say it's 10 billion. You
I
said
said 10
10
billion.
billion.
10 billion. Yep.
Oh, that's a large number.
We'll see. We'll see
Okay.
if my brain compound better than yours. We'll see. Maybe not.
Well,
Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm gonna say 1 billion. 1
Okay.
billion.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Darko,
But let's
you
see.
counted, Darko. You counted.
I'm a cheater.
Oh, he
Okay.
started counting, but doesn't
But
mean he's right.
I stopped. Yeah.
So what's the answer? 1
It's
billion. No
one.
kidding. Is it
Yay.
1 billion?
1
Yes.
billion.
Yeah, 1 billion. 1 billion.
I'm impressed. Well, first, I'm disappointed by my brain. I'm compounding way too optimistically. Well, actually, at one, I'm 3 years away from a. So 1, 2, 4, 8,
Yes.
right? So I'm not that far from
3
10.
years.
I'm
Yes.
3 to
I
4
mean,
years
I was
to it, right?
I was cheating, so I wanted to beat you so bad, Bruno, that I started cheating.
You did, but you did beat me very nicely. I was way optimistic. I was 4 years too optimistic,
But
which is
hey,
a lot.
I used the world model, so I started and I said like 1, 2, 4, 8. So I created a small world model in my brain to try to predict how how far would it fetch if it went
Yes.
10 times? So I don't know. I was cheating, so it's not a win. I was
Okay,
cheating,
that's
but
right. That's right.
a good experiment, right?
Yeah, good example. Right. So, and hi to everybody in the audience. I hope you did the game
Hi.
yourself, and I hope you did better than me, maybe closer to Darko in thinking about how your brain compounds without a calculator. Thank you, everybody. Anything else in closing, Darko? Or should
No,
here?
for me, just one final message that AI is really changing the world as we see it, and I think it's very important to think ahead, right? So what we see today, it's not going to be very soon. It's not going to be the case, right? So things will change dramatically, and looking forward to seeing how they change. Au revoir.
Au revoir.